What's up, guys? Welcome back to Cars, Cost, and Technology. I've got some awesome news on my C8 Corvette order for today's video. After 170 days of sitting in the dealership system being submitted, GM has finally accepted my order, so that's a huge step in this process. A lot of relief for me knowing that I actually, the allocation has been released to my dealership. GM has picked up the order. At the time of this recording, I do not have an actual build week yet or target production week, so I'll keep you posted on that. Hopefully that will be soon, but the fact that the order has been picked up before production has actually started is encouraging to me. So hopefully we'll see a really early build week and get the car soon, because obviously I'm extremely anxious to get this car. I've made numerous videos about that, but really happy to report that it has been at least accepted by GM, so allocation secured, ready to roll there. Huge thanks to my buddy Cary Neill over at Bradshaw Chevrolet for keeping me in the loop this whole process. I kid you not, I've talked to him directly via text, phone call, in person, pretty much every single Thursday since the announcement, just keeping track on when the allocation would be released, the different status codes on the order, changing my order slightly as we were trying to go along with some of the initial constraints. If you're in the market for any type of GM vehicle, I'm going to have his contact information in the description below. Definitely reach out to him. Like I said, he's been a huge help in this process. Very, very great to work with. And I know for the most part, it seems like most dealerships are out of allocations for the 2020 model year. But if you're trying to get on the list for the 2021 model year and you're anywhere in this area, definitely reach out to him and let him know. With that being said, in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about some of the questions I've been getting on my order, everything from my final spec to the price point. It wouldn't be Cars, Cost, and Technology if we didn't talk about some of the pricing on the car. A lot of people have also asked me about dealer markup, so I'm going to talk about that in this video. But let's go ahead and jump into the configurator online, and I'm going to show you my final spec. I did end up changing some things from the initial video that I made talking about the spec of the car, because I was initially trying to follow along with some of the constraints that were coming out. It ended up not being an issue because the constraints have pretty much been dropped during this ordering cycle. So it wasn't really necessary, but it was already done and in the system, and I did make some final last minute changes as well. But obviously went with the coupe. Now, as far as trim level, that didn't change. I know the last video I made talking about this, I wanted to go with 2LT, and I did end up going that direction. I feel like that's a really good value there. You get a lot of the great features, everything from PDR, front end cameras, all the different technology features in the interior that I'm looking forward to making videos on and using those features. They're all going to come in the 2LT trim level. So 3LT I think is nice as well, but it's more materials used within the interior, and then obviously you get the upgraded seats in there. So it's a good option, but for me, I felt like trying to keep this price point below $80,000. Wanted to stick with 2LT once you see some of the other options that I chose. As you know by the color, I did end up going with torch red. I talked about that in a previous video, but I did stick with torch red, just kind of the signature color here on the channel. After having two different red Corvettes, I'm excited to be bringing home my third one. As far as any other stripes or the different things that they offer, I didn't go with any of that. I just kept it pretty clean on the outside. Same thing with the interior, went with jet black. I did want to do the red stitching, but as we talked about a few minutes ago, the 3LT package would have pushed the price point just over what I was comfortable with, and you have to go with the 3LT package to go with the red stitching in the interior. So as much as I did want that, and I think it looks great, I ended up opting not to. So pretty much just jet black in the interior, but we'll talk more about that in a second. I did go with the Z51 performance package. Not only do you get the performance exhaust, you get all the different upgrades internally performance-wise, better brakes, front splitter, rear spoiler. There's a lot that comes in that package, and I think it's a great deal for $5,000, so I definitely went that route. I did opt for the carbon flash wheels, just under $1,000 for those. I mentioned this before, but I'm still not necessarily a huge fan of those wheels, but they are starting to grow on me. I just kind of wish that they didn't have the machined edge or the lip on the outside of them. I think outside of that, they are good looking wheels, but we'll see. I did go with the carbon flash ones, so for at least the foreseeable future, that's what will be on the car, but I'm actually considering sometime down the road maybe switching out to some other type of wheels, so we'll see what happens there. Also went with the, this is a change from the initial video that I made talking about my spec. I did end up going with the magnetic selective ride control, so really excited about that. I've heard a lot of great things about that feature, and my previous Corvettes haven't had it. I know that it can definitely improve not only the performance of the car in the right modes, but also the comfort when you're in some of the lower modes, like say Tour or weather mode, things like that. So excited for that, to have that option, just under $2,000 there. I did go with the front end lift. I'm really excited about that because if you've ever driven a Corvette for any extended period of time, you know it's really exciting, but every time that you come up on a steep driveway or a curb pulling into a business, things like that, it's always sort of nerve-wracking, wondering if you're going to scrape. So front end lift was a huge must for me. That was another reason why I opted to go 2LT in the first place, is you have to have the 2LT trim level to get the GPS in order to actually be able to have the front end lift, since it has the ability to save those locations and automatically lift the front end for you in the future. So that was another reason why I opted for that trim level as well as that option. But anyway, moving on from that, I also went with the bright red painted calipers. I think that's going to look really good. I've always wanted red calipers on my previous Corvettes, but since I bought those used, didn't have the ability to spec it that way. But I think that it looks really good, especially with the carbon flash wheels and the torch red paint. Really excited for that. And then moving on, not really any accessories here. I do think some of these items look really good, but opted to, again, kind of trying to keep the price point somewhat reasonable. Let's get past some of these carbon fiber options. Let's see. So jumping on to interior. Kept things pretty straightforward in the interior. Stuck with the GT1 seats. I actually think that they look really good. I don't have any complaints there. And they look like very comfortable, nice looking seats. But I did change it up just a little bit from what I had initially put out in a previous video. Ended up adding the red seat belts. I feel like that will give a nice touch of, you know, just some kind of red in there to mix it up a little bit. I didn't want it to be just completely one solid color. When you go with 2LT, you do get these brushed aluminum covers over the speakers, and then you also have some other brushed aluminum throughout the interior, so it's got some nice contrast in there. But I think that the red seat belts will add a nice look, and there's just something cool about putting on a red seat belt. You know, it just makes you feel like you're in something exotic or special. So I'm really happy with the way the interior looks, though. I know in the past video that I made, a lot of people were upset that I didn't get more red in there, but like I said, the red stitching, that would have ended up costing me close to $5,000 to go that route, and I just didn't really feel like I needed it that bad. And I don't really care for the full-on red or two-tone red and black setup. So this is a nice, clean, minimal setup for me. I think it looks good, and it also is not super expensive. But that's pretty much the build there, guys. You know, you can see that the total comes out to $77,670. So not exactly what I wanted to spend, if I'm just being honest with you, but I think for all the options that I got, I'm really happy with that price point. I still think it's a great value. I think that this car is going to hold its value very well, considering that the initial demand has been so high. It's been reviewed so well from all the different publications that have had a chance to get access to the car. We've all seen the numerous awards that the car's won, so I'm just excited to be a part of the initial launch, you know, to have one of the initial cars, even really anywhere within that first 2 to 3 months that they start arriving. I feel really, really blessed to even have the opportunity to have a car around that time frame. So again, a little more than what I've spent on my previous Corvettes or what I really wanted to spend, but I'm very excited. I think it'll be worth every penny. Now, a lot of people have asked me about dealer markup. One thing that I'm really excited to put out there about Bradshaw, and I may have already mentioned in a previous video, but they're not charging anything over MSRP. So no dealer markup, no, you know, I've heard of other places charging 5, 10, sometimes even 15,000 over MSRP. Bradshaw Chevrolet is not charging anything over MSRP and that's not just my order, that's all the orders that they're putting through. So really happy to be doing business with them. And again, I would strongly recommend my buddy Cary, my point of contact there at Bradshaw, and Bradshaw in general, to any of you. So again, if you're in the market for any GM vehicle or looking to get on the list for a 2021 Corvette, definitely reach out to him. I'll have his info down below. But that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, $77,670. You see the spec, you see the options I went with. I just cannot wait to get the car. I know that it's fairly straightforward. It's nothing too insane, you know, no high wing spoiler. Obviously I can look into things like that down the road, but I feel like it's a really clean spec. It's something that's going to look good and sort of, for me, holds a special place, being that the different Corvettes that I've had in the past. But as a whole, I feel like this would be a really good starting platform to get things going and just enjoy the car, make some good content on it, and then go from there. But anyway, if you have any questions on my build, pricing information on the car, or questions on ordering, anything like that, just let me know. As I mentioned earlier, I do not have a build week just yet, but I'll hopefully be updating you guys on that soon. but the order has been accepted, so we're good to go. This is locked in, and now it's just a waiting game to see when the car will be built and arriving. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Look forward to hearing your feedback down below, and I appreciate you watching. We'll talk to you next time. Have a great day.